let's talk about, like, right now, let's tell them 5 books that don't suck.
Yes. 5 books that don't suck.
Let's do 5 books that don't suck.
My first, well, should I just do 5 at once? All 5, or should I do one and you do one?
Let's go back and forth.
Okay.
Okay.
Where the Red Fern Grows. I know it's old, and I can't even remember who wrote it, and I don't care. It is still a book that will make me bawl every stinking time, but I love it.
I cried.
Yeah. It was the first book to ever make me cry, actually.
I don't think it was the first book, but it was close to ever make me cry.
And yeah, I still love it. Still have, and I still have the copy that I lent to my grandmother to read when I was in high school, so that's pretty
That's
cool.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love Drowning Ruth. It's by Christina Schwarz. And I read this probably a good 10 years ago. It was on Oprah's book list, and I remembered it, and I keep on meaning to go back to it. And I did just like go back today in Goodreads and mark it want to read again. So it's basically about this chick that falls through the ice and dies in this lake in Wisconsin, and how her family deals with it. And then some big family secrets come out. It was super, like, one of my favorite things about books is the people dynamics, how the relationships conflict and, you know, conflict back and forth, contrast, how they're dealing with each other, and this was just prime for that. It was wonderful.
I have a comment, yeah.
So that was Drowning Ruth.
The next one I would have to say is, it's called The Road Home, I do believe, or The Long Road Home, something like that. It's by Ellen Emerson White. It's probably out of print, but you can get lucky and find it in secondhand stores and stuff a lot. And I think maybe it is a Kindle, but I don't know. And it's actually considered a young adult book, though when I read it, it did not have that feel. My sister-in-law couldn't make it through it. She didn't make it through very many chapters even, because it's about a nurse in the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
She's a young woman, probably I think 20 or so, 19 maybe. But and it talks about her experiences there, and the really hard part was when she came home and had to adjust to life here. And I thought it was an amazing book. I still do. Mm-hmm. I've read it a couple dozen times probably.
My next one is It by Stephen King.
Love it!
Yeah. The first time I read it, I was in 6th grade.
And
my mother said I couldn't read it, so I waited until I was after school, and they didn't have it in our library at school, so I waited till after school, and I went to our town library and pulled it out. And, like, I do what I want, please.
Right.
And
scared the bejesus out of you, didn't it?
Holy shit. Scared the holy fuck out of me. Oh my god.
You know the part of that book that messed with me the worst?
Which?
The kid that killed the animals in the fridge, and he opened up the fridge to check on the puppy that was dying or whatever, and those ticks, the flying leech tick things. Oh, I have a thing about animals that attach to you, like critters that suck your blood, or like ticks, leeches, any of that, like full on phobic reaction to it. That messed with me so bad. I don't know why, but it freaked me out. And I'm so glad it has yet to be in one of the movies.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I wouldn't handle that well. But
yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I've read that. I've actually been through like 6 copies of that book because I read it so many times.
I'm on my 2nd copy.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Stephen King is a genius.
He is. I love him. And if you don't follow him on Twitter, you should, because he is an extremely smart man. And
who recommends really good books, actually. Mm-hmm. I have yet to read a book he has recommended that I didn't end up really liking. He recommended A Three Dog Life.
He fucking loathes Trump.
Amen.
Thank you.
What else do you need to know?
Deal done.
But he did recommend A Three Dog Life. Have you read that yet?
Yeah, that's one you loaned to me. It was very, very, very good.
His recommendation is what made me read it. It was on the back. It said Stephen King said it was amazing. Three Dog Life. Life. He put it on the back.
Song.
I know, right? But and on the back it said Stephen King said this was an amazing book or whatever, and then I went, picked it up, took it home, read it in one sitting. I thought it was amazing. Which is not on my list, but we're just
still good.
throwing that in there as an example of Stephen King's exquisite taste in reading.
Totally. Follow him on Twitter.
So my next one is going to be on both of our lists technically. Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson.
We love Jenny Lawson, and
She's
not
my
in
hero.
a weird stalker way. And oh my god, if she ever sees this and is like,
I'll just go, it's the one that gave you the knotted knitties. Remember?
Right?
Knitted naughties? Knitted naughties.
yes,
Yes.
which we'll explain another. That's a whole
But
story.
we got to meet her. I was giddy. It was
she was
really
here in
pathetic.
Cedar Rapids. Let's Pretend This Never Happened.
Is one of the funniest books of all time.
And P.S. Furiously Happy.
Also really awesome.
Please read these two books.
Yes.
If you are struggling every day with any depression or anxiety issues,
Or if you're just weird.
and if you love someone that is struggling with depression or anxiety issues, you must read these two books.
They even amuse the skank hoe, who
Shut
has
up.
no sense of humor.
Shut the front door.
Really, seriously, she laughed.
Okay, see, that's a thing. It's
a thing. Like, it is seriously one of those books, if you're just having, like, the worst day ever, read some of that book. It will make you laugh so flippin' hard. My personal favorite is the directions chapter, where she got lost again, and she has this idea for a GPS that is beautiful.
It is.
It should happen. It should be a thing.
In Furiously Happy, I have one page of it bookmarked, and if I have an especially tough day and I'm having trouble struggling, I'm having trouble fighting,
Nice.
I go and read this. It's bookmarked. It's ready for me.
Nice.
It's amazing.
So, Jenny Lawson, period. Anything she wrote.
The Blogess on Twitter.
Blogess.
BLOGGESS. Follow her on Twitter.
Or anywhere.
Or, God, anywhere.
Because she's amazing.
She's not active on Google Plus, but there's more people active on Google Plus.
And she has this huge thing with, like, taxidermied animals that are weird. It's so funny. And I hate taxidermied animals, but now I kind of love them because of her.
She is so wonderful. She has brought such
Joy. Oh my gosh.
light to this world.
Yes, she's
All
amazing.
of us that feel like shitty misfits. She's like, you are valuable.
Now
and
that's a cult I
people
join
love
as her
you.
little church thing. That would
Yes,
be cool.
please.
Yes, the church of awesomeness.
Yes.
Anyways, okay, your turn.
Okay, A Gentleman in Moscow. By
That sounds riveting.
no, it is. It really is. By Amor Tolls, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But A Gentleman in Moscow, and it's about this aristocrat in Moscow that is under house arrest in a hotel, and how he lives for 30 years pretty much sequestered in this hotel in this shitty tiny little room. And it's wonderful. It's just wonderful. It was like not last month's book club, but the month before that, and I was really not sure I was gonna dig it. It was real good though. It was real good. It really struck me.
That on my list of 5 billion books I want to read before I die.
I literally have a stack of books on my bookshelf with masking tape underneath that shelf that says borrowed from Kenzie. Yeah, that's.
And those are just the ones that I wait. You have to read this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. So, okay. My next one is, The Things That Keep Us Here by Tim O'Brien. I actually read that as part of, like, I read excerpts from it for different classes, English classes and such. But there was a summer between semesters where there's this list they give you as an English major of books that, you know, you should probably try to read the majority of or whatever. And that book was on there, and so that was going to be my scholarly read for the summer. And I actually ended up liking it better than all my fun reads for the... Oh, air quotes only work if you can see them both.
Right.
All my fun reads for the summer, and I've actually tried to force many people to read it.
Yep, I read it.
It's an amazing story.
It's good.
It's all about Vietnam soldiers and the things they carried, both emotionally, physically, psychologically. I mean, it's a great story. I loved it, and I don't know. I recommend it to people all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I actually really like most of his books that I've read. So, including In the Lake of the Woods, which most people in my class did not like, because it doesn't have a tidy ending.
Yeah.
But I was kosher with that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things they carried.
Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Little Fires Everywhere was one of those that I'm gonna read again and again. Very heavy on personal relationship dynamics. Pretty much about how when you live in a small town, even if it's a big town that's a small town, everybody knows everybody's business, and lots of shit goes down, and I won't even try to tell you more about that because spoilers, but it's delicious and nutritious, and you need to read it. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng.
Which is NG, so
Yeah.
In case we're not.
I had to ask her how to say that.
Ing. I don't know. NG. We're not positive how to pronounce that. My last one is The Things That Keep Us Here by Carla S. Buckley.
Which I read.
You did not wrote that.
Which I read because she told me to.
I really liked it. It's kind of along your lines with the whole relationships between people. It's basically a family that has kind of split apart in a lot of ways. They are actually separated, if I remember correctly. And there's a pandemic of sorts that kind of forces them back together, sort of.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to say too much more, but
it's easy to spoil that one.
Yeah, that's why I'm like kind of. But basically, it's all about family relationships and how things that seem really clear-cut relationship-wise aren't really as clear. And I'm usually not the relationships, there I go again, kind of book reader person, really. I don't do chick books as a general rule.
Chicklet.
But that one I liked a lot.
That was very good. And then also there was...
I actually, by the way, looked for it for 3.5 years at Half Price Books. 3.5 years. Every time I went to Half Price Books. Finally found it when I went to the one by my sister's house.
There you go.
Yay.
It has that additional thing of how we handle fear.
Yes.
Intense fear.
Yes, because in a pandemic or epidemic or whatever, I can't remember which classification.
Yeah, it's a pandemic.
Is it a pandemic? Okay, I couldn't remember which classification they actually gave it in the book, but people would react with fear, of course. I mean, who wouldn't be scared? And how it affects society and people as individuals and things like that. It was just, I really enjoyed it, and I
did too.
I was pretty sure you would. So, yeah, kind of my most chick. Ooh, I do read some chick books, which I'll do another day, but not a lot.
Yeah, maybe, sometime we'll do like, okay, these are chick lit books, or these are
Chick
psychological thrillers,
or horror. I could do horror.
I'm
frontward, backward, sideways, inside out.
Stephen King just really is the only.
Oh, jeez.
I know.
I have been reading horror novels
You've got
since I
stuff
started
for
reading Stephen King at 7.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a junkie. I actually read less horror now than I used to.
I'm big into like biographies and again the relationship dynamics. I love it.
I'm really into memoirs.
Yes.
I kind of
Sedaris,
stay away from
Austin
super
Burroughs.
famous people.
Mm-hmm.
I like to read stories about people that have survived. I love survival stories, like Holocaust stories, things like that. That's my idea of the perfect kind of memoirs or like people that have survived addiction or escaped cults, things like that. So.
My last one is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. And
is it amusing?
It's very amusing.
And it's a movie, right? Not a show.
I first saw it on I didn't see it. I saw it listed on Netflix, and I was like, I'm almost sure that I saw that on Goodreads, and it's a book, and I got to do the book first. And I was like, had no idea really what I wanted to think about it at first, and then stop. And then
other people live in the neighborhood.
dorks. And it's pretty much about this kid in high school that hasn't come out yet, and another kid tries to really take that away from him, and
Tries to out him.
that's his thing, yeah. And so he tries to take his thing, his life, and it's bullshit, and it's how he handles that, and it's very, very, very good. And I haven't yet watched it on Netflix, but now I finished the book just like 2 nights ago. I'm really hyped to see that. I might even watch it tonight.
That is one I remember seeing the preview for the movie and thinking, oh my gosh, that looks amusing. And Robbie was there that night, and my cousin, and we were watching like Walking Dead or something, and I remember thinking, that looks like a movie Robbie and I would find entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, because it kind of has that twisted humor a little bit, sort of. So, and then I couldn't remember what it was called besides something to do with Simon.
Yeah.
So I'll have to tell him I found it, but it's called Score.